At exactly 2:47 p.m. on August 23rd, 2024, Jack Rains blocked I-75 with a staged car wreck, forcing an $18 million cartel cash truck into his trap. Dressed as a Florida Highway Patrol officer, he loaded the money in broad daylight while tourists drove past taking selfies. By sunset, Jack vanished into the Everglades, but the cartel's hidden cameras captured everything, sparking the biggest manhunt in South Florida history. Jack thought his plan was flawless. What he didn't know was that one dash cam from a passing family minivan had recorded the entire heist. Before we get into it, I want to know, where are you watching from right now? Jack pulled this off deep in South Florida, and I love seeing how far these stories travel. Drop your city in the comments, hit subscribe, and smash like. It helps me bring you even more wild true crime stories just like this one. But this story didn't start with an ex-cop robbing cartel trucks. It started 6 months earlier in a smoky Naples dive bar when Jack overheard two words that would either make him rich or get him killed: Colombian cash. Jack's heart pounds as he watches the white Freightliner approach his staged accident. This is it. $18 million or death. His fake Florida Highway Patrol uniform soaked with sweat, radio crackling with pre-recorded dispatch chatter. 3 cars crashed in perfect formation, smoke billowing from pyrotechnics hidden in engines. 2:47:15, cartel truck forced into single lane, Jack waves orange safety cone. Afternoon, sir. Routine cargo inspection due to accident debris. 2:47:45. Driver hesitates. We got produce, officer. On tight schedule. 2:48:12. Jack shows fake warrant. Won't take long. Pop the back doors. Jack's hands shake as he opens truck doors. $18 million in cash bricks, exactly as his intelligence predicted. Around him, tourists film what they think is routine police work. A family minivan slows down, kids pressing faces against windows. The father holds up his phone, recording everything. Jack loads bag after bag into his evidence collection vehicle, an identical truck hidden behind stage wreck. Every movement calculated, every second counted. Cartel driver gets suspicious. This ain't normal procedure, man. Jack's radio crackles. Unit 47, what's your status? His own pre-recorded voice buying precious time. Just as Jack loads the final bag, driver's phone rings. Miguel wants status update on cargo. Jack realizes cartel is tracking this shipment in real time. He has maybe 2 minutes before they send backup. In distance, he spots 2 black SUVs speeding toward his location. Jack slams truck doors, waves driver through. All clear, have a safe trip. Cartel truck drives away empty while Jack disappears into traffic with $18 million. But as he merges onto interstate, he sees black SUVs in his mirror, and family minivan's dash cam has recorded everything. Now you're probably wondering, how does a washed-up ex-cop from Miami end up pulling off the most audacious highway robbery in American history? Well, that story begins 6 months earlier when Jack Rains hit rock bottom. February 23rd, 2024. Rusty Anchor Bar, Naples, Florida. The kind of dive where dreams go to die. Jack Rains, 50, former Miami-Dade detective, stares at his third whiskey of the night. Diabetes medication sits untouched on bar. He can't afford insulin anyway. His phone buzzes with another threatening text from Loan Shark. You got 1 week, Jack, or we start with your kneecaps. Tony the Fish, Marconi's enforcers, had found him again. $80,000 in gambling debts, 3 weeks behind on motel rent, and his daughter Emma won't even take his calls anymore. That's when he overhears it. 2 Hispanic men at corner tables speaking quietly in Spanish. Jack's detective training kicks in. He'd spent 15 years tracking Colombian drug routes in Miami. Mañana los colombianos mueven efectivo por $41 estadounidenses, one says. Tomorrow Colombians move cash on US 41. Jack's blood goes cold. These aren't random drug dealers. These are cartel money runners talking about a cash transfer route he knew from his detective days. His phone rings. Detective Luis Santos, his old partner from Miami PD. Jack, you there? I got something for you. Remember those Colombian routes you tracked? Same networks running cash through Collier County now. Weekly Sunday runs, US 41, always 3 vehicles. Luis owes Jack from their dirty cop days. Back when they both took bribes from small-time dealers before Jack got caught and fired. This is payback. How much cash? Jack asks, already knowing the answer will change everything. Word is each vehicle carries around 100K, every Sunday like clockwork. Jack hangs up and watches two men leave. Through window, he sees them loading black duffel bags into a white Ford Transit van. His police training tells him this is cartel money, probably $100,000 per bag. He follows them at distance in his beat-up pickup, memorizing license plates and noting transfer locations. They take US 41 through rural Collier County. Isolated road stretches, no cell towers, minimal traffic. Perfect for an interception. But as Jack watches through binoculars from his hiding spot behind abandoned gas station, one of the men looks directly at him and starts walking toward him with hand inside jacket. Jack's heart races. He's been made. Time to go. 2 weeks later, Jack has it all figured out. Cartel runs cash every Sunday at 2 a.m. through 12-mile dead zone on US 41. No cell towers, no police patrols. Perfect for fake traffic stop. Jack spends $300 borrowed from Tony's loan shark to buy authentic emergency light bar from police auction. He modifies his pickup to look like unmarked police vehicle and creates fake highway interdiction task force credentials using old department templates. 1:47 a.m., March 10th. Jack positions himself at mile marker 23, monitoring radio chatter on police scanner. Unit 3 approaching checkpoint Alpha, he hears through static. 2:03 a.m. Target van appears exactly on schedule. Jack activates lights. Florida Highway Patrol, routine safety inspection. Using 22 years of police training, Jack makes stop look completely legitimate. License, registration, and manifest please. Sir, we've had reports of vehicle modifications in this area. Need to inspect your cargo. Driver hesitates but complies. Jack opens back doors and finds exactly what he expected. 3 black duffel bags, each containing roughly $30,000 in cash. This needs to be tested for chemical residue, Jack says professionally, taking exactly 1 bag. Not enough to trigger major investigation, but enough to buy him time. As Jack walks back to his truck, van's passenger gets suspicious. That cop looked familiar. You think he recognized us? Driver starts reaching for radio. Should I call Miguel? Jack hears their conversation and realizes they're about to blow his cover. He quickly returns. Actually, everything checks out. Have a safe drive, gentlemen. Jack drives away normally but monitors their radio frequency. That cop took 1 bag. Something felt wrong, he hears. Miguel wants to know about any police contact. Jack realizes he has maybe 30 minutes before they trace his vehicle. He drives to pre-planned location, switches license plates in abandoned parking lot, and dumps police equipment in canal. Money count, exactly $30,000. Not enough to pay off Tony, but enough to prove concept works. Next morning, Jack finds 2 Hispanic men questioning his motel manager. Did anyone check in late last night? Driving dark pickup truck? Hunt has begun. 2 weeks later, Tony Marconi's enforcers corner Jack at truck stop. That $30K bought you some time, but interest is running. We need $500K or we start taking pieces. Jack realizes 1 small score wasn't enough. He needs to think bigger. His old snitch Carlos the Weasel Moreno owes Jack from detective days. Carlos reveals Cartel uses rotating warehouses near Fort Myers for repackaging large cash shipments. They got 3 locations, Jack. Each one handles different routes. Big money, but heavy security. Jack spends weeks conducting professional reconnaissance. Warehouse A, Tuesday and Friday operations, 4-man security team, $150,000 average loads. Warehouse B, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, minimal guards but cameras, $200,000 loads. Warehouse C, weekend operations only, heavy security but largest payouts, $300,000 plus. Jack developed strategy to hit all 3 over 6 weeks, making each operation look like different criminal groups. April 3rd, 2 a.m., Warehouse B. Jack poses as Federal Drug Task Force agent conducting surprise inspection. DEA, we have warrant for premises search and asset forfeiture. 2 guards overwhelmed by Jack's authentic police procedure and equipment. He takes $200,000 while maintaining professional law enforcement demeanor. But as Jack loads cash, real police respond to silent alarm. Security company called cops when they lost radio contact with guards. Jack hears sirens approaching while still inside warehouse. He has to choose, take more money or escape immediately. Jack escapes through rear exit as police cars surround front of building, leaving behind equipment that could be traced to him. 2 weeks later at Warehouse A, security has been doubled. Cartel realizes someone is specifically targeting their cash operations. Jack arrives to find 6 guards instead of usual 4 and is forced to abort mission. For Warehouse C, Jack adapts his tactics. He studies new security protocols and finds weakness. Shift change at 3 a.m. creates 12-minute window when old guards leave and new guards arrive. Plan works perfectly until Jack gets inside and discovers Cartel has set trap. Security cameras were monitoring him during previous surveillances. Guards were waiting inside, and Jack barely escapes in running gunfight through industrial maze. Total take $500,000. But now Cartel's security chief Carlos Vega has been studying Jack's methods. Next operation will be walking into prepared ambush unless he stays ahead of their learning curve. Jack's informant Carlos reveals location of Cartel's main counting house. $2 million gets processed there every week, Jack. But it's fortress-level security. 6 guards, cameras, motion sensors, the works. The target, 1247 Pine Island Road, Fort Myers. Suburban house converted into counting facility, disguised as normal residence. Reality, it's financial heart of multi-billion-dollar drug operation. Jack realizes he needs team. But recruiting for armed robbery against Colombian cartel requires desperate men with specific skills who have nothing left to lose. Finding Tommy Rodriguez takes Jack to homeless camps under Caloosahatchee Bridge. Tommy, 35, former Army explosives specialist, lost everything to PTSD after 3 tours in Afghanistan. Living in tent made from tarps, surviving on disability checks. "You military?" Tommy asks, recognizing something in Jack's bearing. 22 years police. "I need someone who understands explosives and tactical operations." Tommy's daughter Maria, 8 years old, needs experimental brain tumor surgery at Johns Hopkins. Insurance won't cover $150,000 treatment cost. Doctors say I got maybe 6 months to get her the surgery. Jack studies Tommy's hands. Steady despite obvious withdrawal, precise movements from handling live explosives under fire. "I can pay you $150,000 for one night's work. Enough to save Maria." Marcus Washington works nights at 24-hour fitness center, sleeping in storage room because he can't afford apartment. 6'4", 280 pounds, former corrections officer until allegations of smuggling contraband destroyed his career. "I never smuggled nothing," Marcus tells Jack, "but I knew who did. When internal affairs came around, I wouldn't give up names, so they made me the fall guy." 3 ex-wives demanding alimony payments totaling $4,800 per month. Current job pays $12 per hour. Marcus is drowning in legal fees. "You're talking about armed robbery," Marcus says after Jack explains operation. "I'm talking about taking money from people who poison kids and corrupt cops. Your cut is $100,000 for one night's work." David Chen works installing home security systems for Best Buy. But Jack knows David's real expertise from arrest reports. Former high-end burglar who specialized in million-dollar homes until a laser security system nearly blinded him. Jack approaches David at Best Buy. David's mother sits in wheelchair nearby. Daily dialysis treatments cost $5,000 per month, bankrupting the family. "You're planning something big," David observes after seeing surveillance photos. "Biggest payday any of us will ever see. But it requires someone who can handle sophisticated security systems." David studies photos carefully. Motion sensors, infrared cameras, probably silent alarms. "This isn't amateur hour. For enough money to keep my mother alive, I can handle anything they've got." The reconnaissance phase begins immediately. For 3 weeks, team conducts intensive surveillance operation. Daily rotation. Tommy takes morning shift disguised as construction worker. Marcus covers afternoon posing as landscaper. David handles night shift using thermal imaging equipment. What they discover is terrifying. Cartel has brought in Carlos Vega, former Colombian military intelligence. This isn't just counting operation. It's fortress designed to withstand federal raids. Security analysis reveals 6 guards working 2-man teams with 8-hour shifts. Shift changes at 6 a.m., 2 p.m., 10 p.m. Most vulnerable at 3:30 a.m. Exterior cameras with night vision covering all approaches. Motion sensors on doors, windows, air conditioning vents. Silent alarms connected to private security, not police. Backup generators ensuring systems never lose power. "This place is locked down tight," David reports. "But every system has vulnerabilities. Give me right equipment and I can create windows of opportunity." Tommy analyzes building structure using construction databases. Former single-family home converted with reinforced walls, steel doors, bulletproof windows. But architectural plans reveal ventilation systems and utility access points. Breaching front door is suicide, Tommy explains. But if we create diversions and use utility access, we can get inside during shift changes. Marcus studies human element, guard behavior, capabilities, protocols. These aren't professional soldiers. They're street muscle with basic training, paid to look intimidating and count money. Hit them with overwhelming force and authentic federal authority, they'll fold, Marcus predicts. Equipment acquisition takes 2 weeks. Jack uses cartel consultant money to purchase military-grade gear. Police body armor stolen from evidence lockers. Authentic DEA-raid equipment from federal storage. Flashbang grenades from corrupt ATF agent. Radio scramblers to block security communications. Professional fake federal credentials and warrants. Training phase reveals team's complementary skills. Tommy teaches explosive breaching from Afghanistan. Marcus demonstrates crowd control from corrections experience. David explains electronic warfare, disabling cameras, bypassing alarms. Jack provides law enforcement expertise, proper federal raid procedures, authentic radio protocols, psychological techniques for maintaining authority. We're not criminals, Jack tells team during final briefing. We're federal agents conducting asset forfeiture operation. Everyone believes that story, and we all go home alive. Final preparation happens night before operation. Tommy calls daughter Maria at Children's Hospital. Daddy's got one more mission, sweetheart. Then we can make you better. Marcus stares at photos of his ex-wives and kids. I was good corrections officer. Never hurt nobody who didn't deserve it. David sits with his mother during dialysis, holding her hand. I'm going to fix everything, Mama. Jack thinks about Emma, daughter who won't speak to him, career destroyed by corruption. Maybe this is how dirty cops become clean again. May 15th, 3:15 a.m. Team assembles in stolen panel van 2 blocks from target. Final equipment check, communication test, emergency extraction procedures. Remember, Jack tells his team, we're federal agents. Act like it, sound like it, believe it. The moment anyone questions our authority, people die. Operation begins like professional SWAT raid. David disables exterior cameras and motion sensors. Tommy breaches front door with controlled explosive charge. Team enters with flashbangs, DEA, federal warrant, everyone down. 6 guards overwhelmed by superior tactics and authentic-looking equipment. Jack maintains law enforcement facade throughout, showing fake federal warrants and using proper evidence procedures while loading $2 million into official-looking bags. During raid, one guard recognizes Jack from old Miami cases. I know you, man. You're that dirty cop from Miami-Dade. Miguel's gonna hunt you down. Jack realizes his identity is blown and operation timeline just accelerated. As team loads final bags, unexpected complications arise. Neighbor calls police about gunshots and explosions. Real DEA task force responds, thinking it's legitimate federal operation. Jack's team barely escapes as genuine federal agents arrive at scene. Cartel security chief Carlos Vega arrives and analyzes equipment left behind. He recognizes military-grade planning, reviews security footage, and identifies Jack's vehicle despite disguised plates. He connects this raid to previous warehouse hits through operational similarities. Jack returns to his motel to find Carlos Vega sitting in parking lot, talking on phone while watching Jack's room. Jack realizes he's been located and has minutes before cartel kill team arrives. Jack's network reveals ultimate prize. Colombian suppliers bringing $5 million by speedboat to Tampa Marina for distribution. This is it, Jack. Score this and you can disappear forever. But Carlos Vega knows you're coming. Maritime intelligence gathering begins immediately. Jack knows Tampa Bay from his police days. Joint operations with Coast Guard drug interdiction teams taught him every channel, every shallow water route that smugglers use to avoid detection. Using $50,000 from his safe house score, Jack conducts 3 weeks of professional reconnaissance. He rents different fishing boats from marinas across Tampa Bay, studying Colombian supply routes, timing patterns, security protocols. The drug runners use same approach every month. High-speed cigarette boat from international waters, rendezvous at Sparkman Wharf area, transfer to local distribution network. Jack maps every detail. Tide schedules that affect shallow water navigation, Coast Guard patrol patterns, even weather conditions that provide cover for illegal maritime operations. The Colombians choose nights with minimal moon illumination and rough seas that keep legitimate boaters in port. The perfect maritime plan requires split-second timing and flawless execution of Coast Guard procedures Jack learned during joint law enforcement operations. Jack acquires authentic Coast Guard uniforms and equipment through black market contacts. Corrupt Coast Guard petty officer in Key West who sells surplus gear for cash, no questions asked. Radio equipment, emergency lights, even official boarding protocols downloaded from Coast Guard training manuals. The boat comes from Rental Marina in St. Petersburg, 35-foot fishing vessel equipped with GPS, sonar, marine radio, everything Jack needs for his operation. He tells owner he's planning deep-sea fishing expedition, pays cash using fake ID, leaves no paper trail. But Carlos Vega has been planning his own operation. Unknown to Jack, Vega has identified his informant network through careful counter-surveillance. The $5 million shipment is real, but it's also bait for the most sophisticated trap Vega has ever constructed. Vega studies Jack's methods like military intelligence officer, analyzing enemy tactics. Jack always uses legitimate law enforcement procedures to maintain cover. He relies on authority and authentic equipment to overwhelm targets. He escapes through routes only locals know. So Vega prepares accordingly. Sniper positions at marina warehouses with clear fields of fire, fake fishing boats crewed by ex-military operators, helicopter support standing by, even underwater demolition team in case Jack tries to escape by diving. Meanwhile, family stakes reach breaking point. May 25th. Emma calls Jack crying from Tampa General Hospital where she works as ICU nurse. "Dad, those men came to my hospital today. They talked to my supervisor, asking questions about my family, my finances, whether I'm involved in criminal activity." "What did you tell them?" Jack asks, trying to keep panic out of his voice. "I told them I don't know what they're talking about. But Dad, they knew things. They knew about your gambling debts, about you getting fired from Miami-Dade. They said you're involved with dangerous people." Jack realizes CARTEL isn't just threatening Emma. They're destroying her reputation, her career, everything she's worked to build independent of his failures. May 28th. Tony Marconi's enforcers escalate their threats. Photographs sent to Jack's phone show Emma leaving work, getting coffee, jogging in her neighborhood. Message is clear. We can reach her anytime, anywhere. $5 million by Friday, Jack, or your daughter pays interest on your debt. We know her schedule, her routines, her friends. Beautiful girl like that. Shame if something happened to her. Jack's medical crisis reaches critical point. His diabetes medication has been gone for 6 days. Blood sugar spiking dangerously, vision blurring, hands shaking uncontrollably. He's literally dying without money for treatment that costs $800 per month. During surveillance of drug transfer point, Jack collapses from diabetic episode. Wakes up in parking lot of Tampa Marina, surrounded by paramedics asking questions he can't answer without blowing his cover. "Sir, your blood glucose is over 400. You need immediate medical attention," paramedic explains. "This could be fatal without treatment." Jack refuses ambulance transport. Can't afford hospital bills. Can't risk medical records connecting him to Tampa during cartel investigation. He buys insulin from street dealer for $200, nearly his last cash, injecting himself in gas station bathroom. The irony isn't lost on him. Former narcotics detective reduced to buying drugs from dealers he once arrested, just to stay alive long enough to steal money from bigger criminals. The trap is set from both sides. Carlos Vega positions his team throughout Tampa Bay area. Snipers in warehouse on Harbor Island with clear view of drug transfer point, speedboats disguised as recreational fishermen, helicopter with thermal imaging ready to track Jack through any escape route. But Jack has advantages Vega doesn't expect. Growing up in Florida gave Jack intimate knowledge of Tampa Bay's maze of channels, oyster bars, mangrove creeks that appear on no charts. Water routes known only to mullet fishermen and drug runners who've worked these waters for generations. Most importantly, Jack understands that Vega expects him to behave like criminal. But Jack is still a cop at heart. He thinks like law enforcement, plans like federal agent, reacts like someone trained to enforce laws rather than break them. June 8th, 10:30 p.m. Tampa Bay. Jack approaches drug speedboat with authentic Coast Guard lights and radio calls. U.S. Coast Guard, heave to for mandatory safety inspection. June 8th, 10:30 p.m. Tampa Bay. Jack approaches drug speedboat with authentic Coast Guard lights and radio calls. U.S. Coast Guard, heave to for mandatory safety inspection. He boards vessel with perfect maritime law enforcement procedure and discovers $5 million in waterproof cases, plus intelligence about cartel operations. As Jack loads money, Carlos Vega's trap activates. Sniper fire from Marina Warehouse shatters Jack's boat windshield. Fishing boats converge on his position with automatic weapons. Jack realizes he's sailing into prepared kill zone with no backup. He must navigate through crossfire while boat engine takes multiple hits. Using Florida native knowledge, Jack navigates damaged boat through shallow water maze in Hillsborough Bay. Cartel boats run aground, trying to follow through channels only he knows. He transfers to hidden backup boat while original craft sinks. With bullet wound in shoulder and losing blood, Jack escapes with $5 million. Carlos Vega's pursuit team follows his blood trail with tracking dogs through mangrove swamps. Jack must abandon boat and wade through alligator-infested waters. He reaches his truck with cash just as cartel team arrives at boat ramp. Jack arrives at motel to find it surrounded by police cars and federal agents. Carlos Vega stands beside FBI agents, pointing at Jack's room. That's him. That's the man who's been hitting our operations. Carlos Vega doesn't arrest Jack. Instead, he arranges meeting at abandoned phosphate mine outside Tampa. Cartel boss Miguel Sandoval doesn't want to kill Jack. He wants to hire him. You know police procedures. Help us avoid raids and we'll pay you better than Miami-Dade ever did. The offer, $1 million annually, protection, and medical coverage. Smart play is to accept. But Jack realizes this makes him the same corrupt cop he swore he'd never become again. He thinks about Emma and whether she'd be proud of blood money. The psychological warfare begins immediately. Miguel Sandoval is smaller than Jack expected, but his eyes hold the cold calculation of someone who's ordered hundreds of deaths. You think I'm the villain here, Detective Raines? Miguel asks, spreading financial documents across the table. Your government spends more on one military helicopter than we make in a year, yet they call us the criminals. Miguel shows Jack detailed records of police corruption spanning decades. Names Jack recognizes from Miami-Dade, federal agents, prosecutors, judges, all on cartel payroll. The system is already corrupt, Jack. I didn't create it. I just learned to work within it. Miguel's argument is seductive because it contains truth. Jack spent 20 years watching the drug war destroy more lives than it saved. Saw good cops become corrupt because the system was rigged against them. Miguel escalates the pressure systematically. He produces thick folder labeled Detective Jack Raines Complete File. Inside, photos of Jack taking bribes in Miami, financial records of his gambling debts, medical records showing his diabetes, even Emma's work schedule at Tampa General Hospital. Carlos has been very thorough, Miguel explains. We know about your daughter's student loans, her apartment lease, her jogging route every morning at 6 a.m., beautiful girl. Reminds me of my own daughter before the DEA killed her in Bogota. The threat is clear but unspoken. Accept the offer or Emma pays the price. Miguel shows more photos. Other police officers who refuse cartel offers. Detective Rodriguez from Broward County, found in his car with 3 bullets in his head. Agent Thompson from DEA, who disappeared in the Everglades. I don't enjoy violence, Jack. It's expensive and creates problems. But I protect my business interests. Jack studies the financial empire spread before him. Miami operations alone generate $200 million annually. Network includes 47 legitimate businesses, 15 offshore banks, corruption reaching federal level. Your partner Luis makes $150,000 per year from us, Miguel reveals, has for 8 years. He provides intelligence on DEA operations, warns us about raids. Luis recommended you highly. The betrayal cuts deeper than any physical wound. Jack realizes he's been manipulated from the first night at Rusty Anchor Bar. Every tip from his old partner, all part of cartel strategy to recruit him. Miguel makes the final pitch. $1 million annually, paid monthly to offshore accounts, full medical coverage for your diabetes, protection for Emma, clean identity, new life, fresh start. All I have to do is become the cop I swore I'd never be, Jack responds. You already are that cop, Jack. You took bribes in Miami. You're stealing from us now. The only difference is scale and employer. Miguel slides contract across table, legitimate-looking document outlining terms of employment. Like applying for job at Fortune 500 company, except the company is drug cartel. Jack's decision crystallizes. He can refuse and die taking Emma with him, or accept and become what he spent 20 years fighting against. But there's third option Miguel doesn't see coming. Accept the offer, gain access to cartel's highest levels, then use that access to destroy them completely. I need details about your operations to be effective, Jack says, appearing to accept while secretly planning the biggest betrayal in cartel history. Jack pretends to accept while secretly planning biggest score of all. Playing his role as cartel consultant, he learns about their weekly $18 million shipment to Atlanta, money that represents cartel's entire Florida operation profit. While appearing loyal, Jack secretly plants GPS trackers on escort vehicles, copies security codes and radio frequencies, maps alternate escape routes through Everglades, and prepares false identities and offshore bank accounts. He feeds cartel false information about police raid schedules while planning to intercept their biggest shipment. I'll make sure interstate route is clear of law enforcement, he tells Miguel. But Carlos Vega becomes suspicious when Jack asks too many questions about $18 million shipment. He sets up surveillance and catches Jack photographing transport vehicles. Carlos calls Miguel. Your new police friend is planning something. I found surveillance equipment in his car. Miguel orders, bring him to me. It's time for permanent solution. Knowing cartel is onto him, Jack has one chance. Intercept $18 million shipment before they can stop him. It's suicide, but he's dead anyway if he doesn't try. Emma calls crying. Dad, some men came to my work asking about you. I'm scared. Jack realizes cartel will hurt his daughter to get to him. This isn't just about money anymore. It's about survival. August 23, 2024. Jack's final plan uses everything he's learned. He stages realistic car accident using stolen vehicles and pyrotechnics, creates fake Florida Highway Patrol checkpoint with authentic equipment, and times operation for maximum traffic to provide cover and witnesses. 2:30 p.m. rush hour operation begins. Jack triggers staged accident at mile marker 156, blocking northbound lanes. He directs traffic, including cartel money truck, into emergency detour route. Using legitimate police procedure, Jack inspects cargo in isolated area and transfers entire $18 million into identical truck while maintaining Highway Patrol radio chatter. Real Florida Highway Patrol responds to accident reports faster than expected. Cartel security team recognizes diversion and calls for backup. Tourist family starts live streaming police action on social media just as Carlos Vega arrives with kill team. Jack abandons money truck and escapes on motorcycle hidden in swamp. Cartel drones track him through open areas while real police join chase after discovering staged accident. National media picks up story. Florida man steals millions in broad daylight. Even as chase intensifies, Jack knows he's won. Money is hidden, his daughter is safe, he paid for her protection, and whole world is watching cartel's criminal operation exposed on live TV. Jack crashes motorcycle in Everglades as helicopter searchlights close in. He disappears into swamp carrying only waterproof bag with cash and false documents. Jack's insurance policy activates. Evidence packages automatically sent to DEA with complete cartel organizational charts, IRS with tax evasion evidence worth $200 million in penalties, FBI with proof of police corruption in 3 counties, and media outlets with recorded conversations of cartel operations. FBI creates Joint Task Force. U.S. Marshals lead manhunt using airboats and tracking dogs. DEA raids 47 cartel locations based on Jack's intelligence. Coast Guard blockades all waterways from Tampa to Miami. Miguel Sandoval's organization collapses under federal pressure. 23 cartel members arrested in coordinated raids. $47 million in assets seized, including boats, planes, and safe houses. Carlos Vega flees to Colombia, but is arrested by Interpol. Story becomes national sensation. Florida man takes down entire drug cartel. Ex-cop's revenge, from corruption to redemption. The Everglades, bandit, hero, or criminal. Public opinion splits. Law enforcement calls him dangerous criminal who compromised investigations. Anti-drug advocates praise him for exposing cartel operations. Social media makes him folk hero. Florida man fights back. Emma gives interview. My dad made mistakes, but he's not a bad person. Federal investigators discover Jack's crimes also exposed corrupt police officers taking cartel bribes, politicians protecting drug operations, banks laundering cartel money through legitimate businesses, and insurance fraud schemes worth millions. Despite federal benefits from his actions, $5 million bounty placed on Jack's capture. International law enforcement joined search. Every port, airport, and border crossing monitored. Anonymous tips lead FBI to abandoned hunting cabins in Everglades. They find evidence Jack was there recently, but also signs of struggles and blood on floors. Jack survives underground using skills from police days. He moves through abandoned phosphate mines and hunting camps, uses fake identities created during cartel consultant period, and maintains contacts from criminal network who provide food, medical supplies, and transportation. He communicates with Emma through encrypted messages proving he's alive. Multiple prosecutions begin based on Jack's evidence. Miguel Sandoval gets life sentence for racketeering and murder. 15 police officers face corruption charges and pension losses. 3 politicians receive bribery and conspiracy convictions. 47 cartel associates get various sentences totaling 400+ years. Emma becomes reluctant spokesperson, appearing on national TV defending father's actions. He made mistakes as cop, but he tried to make things right. Through intermediaries, federal prosecutors send Jack message offering surrender with cooperation for reduced sentence, witness protection for Emma and himself, credit for time served and early parole eligibility, and recognition as cooperating witness rather than criminal defendant. Jack's response comes through anonymous posting on social media. Justice isn't about law. It's about doing what's right. 6 months after Heist, Jack walks into FBI field office in Miami wearing handcuffs. "I'm Jack Rains. I believe you've been looking for me." He brings additional evidence hidden during time underground and demands live television coverage of surrender and statement. Jack's cooperation leads to unprecedented prosecutions. 89 cartel members convicted using his evidence, $400 million recovered in drug proceeds and assets, corruption investigation spreading to federal level, and police reform movement gaining momentum across Florida. Emma finally gets closure as father explains his actions weren't about crime, but about fighting corruption. "I became criminal I used to catch, but I tried to use it for good." Federal prosecutors offer unprecedented agreement, 18-month sentence in minimum security facility, credit for cooperation and time served underground, restitution waived due to recovered assets exceeding stolen amounts, and witness protection program optional after release. Public opinion shifts as full story emerges. Jack portrayed as flawed hero who exposed massive corruption. Law enforcement community splits between condemning and praising him. Crime documentary wins Emmy featuring Jack's story. Florida man meme transforms from mockery to folk hero status. Jack's actions lead to permanent changes. Florida legislature passes anti-corruption laws called Rains Rules. Police department oversight expands with civilian review boards. Banking regulations tighten to prevent money laundering. Drug enforcement strategy reforms to focus on corruption. Miguel Sandoval's organization never recovers. Remaining members flee to South America. Drug trade disrupted for 3 years in South Florida. Other cartels avoid Florida due to increased law enforcement scrutiny. Even while cooperating, Jack prepares for life after prison. He establishes offshore accounts using cartel money laundering techniques, creates false identity documents during underground period, develops international contacts who can provide sanctuary if needed, and hides boat in Key West for emergency escape to Caribbean. Jack addresses court at sentencing. "I was corrupt cop who became criminal, but I tried to make it right. System failed, so I worked outside it. I'm not proud, but I'm not sorry." Judge acknowledges your actions, while illegal, served greater good. 6 months into sentence, Jack receives visit from unknown woman who passes him message. Boat fueled and ready in Key West. Passport and cabin. Next morning, Jack's cell is empty with window bars cut. Security footage shows him leaving in delivery truck. Coast Guard finds abandoned boat 50 miles southeast of Miami. 2 years later, surveillance camera in Havana captures familiar figure at waterfront cafe. Jack Rains, tanned and healthy, reading newspaper headline, "Florida corruption trials conclude, 156 convictions." He smiles, drops $100 tip, and disappears into crowd. Cuban authorities find no record of his entry. Ex-cop who stole $18 million from cartel and brought down biggest corruption scandal in Florida History becomes inspiration for anti-corruption investigations nationwide. Sometimes only way to restore justice is to become criminal system created. So here's my question for you. Subscribe if you think sometimes breaking law is only way to get real justice. And smash that like button if you believe Jack Raines was more of hero than criminal. Let me know in comments. If you had Jack's skills and saw that level of corruption, would you have done same thing? What would it take for you to risk everything to expose truth?